The Young and the Restless spoilers Saturday's full episodes May 10, 2025. The tension in Genoa City was building as Lily Winters prepared to make a move that would not only surprise Damian Kane but could also shake up the delicate balance of power between them. The stakes had never been higher, and Lily was about to reveal a side of herself that few had ever seen. It all started when Damian, ever the messenger and loyal assistant to the elusive Aristotle Dumas, shared an intriguing tidbit with Lily. "Aristotle Dumas wants to know what you want," Damian had said, his tone casual, yet layered with hidden implications. It was a message that hinted at the possibility of aligning themselves with Dumas, whose shadowy presence loomed over the power players of Genoa City. Lily listened carefully, her mind already working behind the scenes. While many would have been intimidated by Dumas's stature, Lily saw an opportunity to turn the situation to her advantage. She knew the intricacies of business and the power struggles that ran deep beneath the surface. For her, this wasn't just a matter of aligning with Dumas, it was a matter of taking control and securing her future. In that moment, Lily decided to take a bold step. Rather than simply react to Dumas's demand, she would make a play of her own, one that could have far-reaching consequences for her and Damian. "If Aristotle Dumas is curious about me," Lily said, her voice cool and composed, "then I think it's time we had a conversation." Damian, caught off guard by her confidence, raised an eyebrow. He had expected Lily to be interested in Dumas, to perhaps consider aligning with the powerful figure. What he didn't expect was her directness. He was used to being the one who offered proposals, not the one receiving them. Lily, sensing Damian's hesitation, pressed forward with a surprising suggestion. "I have an offer for you, Damian," she said. "Why don't you come work for me at Winters? You're clearly capable and ambitious, and I think you could be an asset to the company." Damian was taken aback. This wasn't the offer he had anticipated. The prospect of leaving his work with Dumas behind to join Winters was a temptation, but it was also dangerous. To accept Lily's offer would mean breaking away from Dumas, losing the very connections and power that he had carefully cultivated. He hesitated, weighing the implications of such a decision. "I don't think you understand, Lily," Damian replied, his voice steady but tinged with uncertainty. "If I work for you, I lose everything I've built with Dumas. I can't just walk away from that." Lily's gaze didn't waver. "But what if that's exactly what you need to do? What if you're better off here, in a place where your talents can truly be valued, rather than serving someone who may not even have your best interests at heart?" Damian was silent for a moment, his mind racing as he considered her words. This wasn't just about business, it was about loyalty, ambition, and the crossroads of his career. But deep down, he knew that if he stayed with Dumas, he would always be in the shadows, never fully in control of his own destiny. Could he take the risk to step into the light, or would he continue to serve under the powerful and mysterious figure who had given him everything? The offer hung in the air, a delicate balance of temptation and risk. Damian knew that accepting Lily's proposal could be the key to his future, but it could also spell the end of his association with Dumas. The tension between them was palpable, and the stakes were higher than either of them realized. Meanwhile, Victor Newman was busy crafting his own plans, as always pulling the strings behind the scenes. Victor knew that in order to maintain his power, he had to eliminate threats and keep his enemies off balance. That's why he had turned his attention to Billy Abbott, whose recent actions had caught Victor's eye. Victor's strategy was simple yet effective. Discredit Billy, tear down his credibility, and elevate his own family. With Adam by his side, Victor would ensure that Billy Abbott's reputation would take a hit. "I want you to discredit Billy Abbott," Victor instructed Adam, his voice sharp and precise. "Make sure the public knows what kind of man he really is." Adam, ever the loyal son, hesitated for a brief moment. "What about Chelsea? How do you think she'll react to all this?" Victor's gaze was cold, unwavering. "I don't care about Chelsea's reaction. This is about securing our future, Adam. We do what needs to be done, no matter who it hurts. Victor's focus was clear. He had no time to waste on personal concerns. His primary goal was to strengthen the Newman family's position, and that meant taking down anyone who posed a threat. Billy Abbott was in his crosshairs, and Victor was determined to make sure that Billy would never rise to the same level of power. But as the Newmans tightened their grip on the city, Lily was making her own moves, and Damian was caught in the middle of it all. He had always been a man of ambition, but now he was facing a crossroads that would determine the course of his future. The question was, would he choose the safety of his alliance with Dumas, or would he step into the light and take a risk with Lily and Winters? Lily's proposal was more than just an offer of employment, it was a challenge. Damian had always been a man who operated in the shadows, but perhaps it was time for him to break free. Would he take the leap and join Lily, or would he remain bound by his loyalty to Dumas? The answer would shape the future of not only his career but also the power dynamics in Genoa City. As the story unfolded, the tension between loyalty and ambition, power and control, would reach its boiling point. The battle for supremacy in Genoa City was far from over, and those who dared to make bold moves would soon find themselves at the center of a game where only the strongest would survive. Would Lily's magic work, or would Damian remain loyal to the man who had helped him rise to power? Only time would tell. Victor Newman had always been a master at maneuvering behind the scenes, using Newman media as a powerful weapon to influence public opinion, bolster his family's interests, and attack his enemies. But recently, his plan had taken a more dangerous turn. His unwavering drive to maintain control had led him to a risky path, one that could backfire and cost him dearly. If the truth about his tactics ever came to light, it could shake the foundations of his empire and expose him as vulnerable. Something Victor could never afford. Victor's latest move involved using Newman media to wage a covert war against his enemies, and specifically, Billy Abbott. As always, Victor's strategy was clear: destroy Billy's reputation in the public eye while elevating the Newman family's status. However, his latest plan to manipulate Adam into carrying out this attack had unforeseen consequences. Adam, as Victor's loyal son, had no reservations about following his father's orders. He had long been conditioned to obey and was always eager to prove himself in Victor's eyes. But this time, the task felt different. While Adam was comfortable with attacking Billy, especially given the history between them, he couldn't ignore the nagging sense of discomfort that Chelsea might find out about his role in this plan. Would she understand? Or would she see this as yet another example of the Newman family manipulating and using people for their gain? As Adam wrestled with these thoughts, he found himself at a crossroads. On one hand, he wanted to prove himself to Victor, but on the other, he felt the weight of his relationship with Chelsea pressing down on him. He knew she would eventually question his involvement, and when she did, the truth would be impossible to hide. Adam's loyalty to his father was strong, but his love for Chelsea made him hesitate. Adam would want to be honest with her, to tell her everything about Victor's intentions. He could see the concern in Chelsea's eyes if she ever found out what was really going on. But Adam knew that honesty could come at a cost, especially when it came to dealing with Victor. Would Chelsea see Victor's manipulation for what it truly was, or would she believe that he was testing her? The challenge Victor posed was an open one, forcing both Adam and Chelsea into a position where they would have to prove themselves to him. Victor loved to test those closest to him, and Adam was no exception. If Adam wanted to keep his place in the family business, he had to follow through. But this would be a game for Victor, a dangerous one where he wouldn't mind if Chelsea turned against Adam, as long as it helped to tear down Billy Abbott. Victor knew that the more pressure he applied, the more likely the situation would unravel, and Adam would be forced to make a decision that could affect his relationship with Chelsea permanently. For Victor, the end justified the means. If it meant losing a few pawns along the way, whether it was Adam's relationship with Chelsea or Billy's reputation, then so be it. The larger picture was what mattered, and Victor's empire was worth any cost. In the midst of all of this chaos, Damian Kane found himself at the center of an entirely different dilemma. The question of whether he would accept Lily Winter's offer loomed large. Lily had presented him with a tempting proposition, an offer to work for her at Winter's. It was a chance for Damian to break free from his increasingly strained relationship with Dumas and step into a more stable and prominent role in the business world. But Damian wasn't one to make hasty decisions. His loyalty to Dumas ran deep, and to accept Lily's offer would mean severing ties with a man who had helped him build his career. It wasn't an easy decision, and the stakes were high. Damian had spent years carefully building his position under Dumas, and the thought of leaving that behind for a different path was daunting. Yet, there was something about Lily's offer that struck a chord with him. She wasn't just offering him a job, she was offering him a future. The question was, did Damian believe in that future enough to walk away from everything he had known? The offer represented a new beginning, a chance to rise above the shadows of his past and carve out a name for himself. But could he take that risk? Lily had a way of making things seem possible, of pushing people to take chances they might otherwise avoid. Damian respected her ambition, but he also knew that working with her would come with its own set of challenges. She was no stranger to power plays herself, and trusting her fully meant accepting that things could change in an instant. As the situation played out, the tension between loyalty and ambition grew. Damian found himself standing at the edge of a decision that could change everything. Would he choose loyalty to Dumas, a man who had given him everything but also kept him in the shadows? Or would he step into the light with Lily, embracing a new chapter in his life, one that held the promise of something more? The next few weeks would be crucial. For Adam, the pressure from Victor to take down Billy would only increase, and the consequences of his actions would have far-reaching effects on his relationships, particularly with Chelsea. For Damian, the offer from Lily would either solidify his place in Genoa City or force him to step away from everything he had known. In the end, Victor's game was clear: manipulate, control, and challenge those around him to see who was truly loyal. Whether it was Adam, Chelsea, or even Damian, Victor would ensure that no one was safe from his tests. As for Damian, the question remained: would he follow Lily's lead, or would he stay true to his roots under Dumas? Only time would reveal the true cost of these decisions, and who would be left standing when the dust settled. What do you think? Will Damian choose Lily, or will he remain under Dumas's thumb? Let us know in the comments below. The drama in Genoa City was about to take an even more intense turn as Devon Winters and Nate Hastings braced themselves for a shocking move by Lily Winters. Her decision to make a bold play in the business world would rock the foundations of the Winters family, leaving both men scrambling to understand what motivated her sudden shift in priorities. Meanwhile, Holden Novak, ever the cautious advisor, would take it upon himself to warn Damian Kane about the ramifications of his actions and the potential dangers of becoming too entangled with people like Lily and Dumas. As always, Holden's instincts were sharp, and he knew that the next few moves would determine the fate of more than just Damian's career. In the midst of these turbulent developments, Adam Newman would find himself facing a personal and professional crossroads. The tension between him and Chelsea Lawson, his partner both in life and business, would reach a boiling point when Victor's influence began to permeate their relationship. Adam, despite his loyalty to his father, could feel the weight of the choices he had to make, and the price of blindly following Victor's orders. As Adam prepared to deal with the fallout of Victor's latest request, he found himself indulging Chelsea at work, trying to maintain some semblance of peace between them. But Chelsea, ever perceptive and never one to be easily manipulated, would soon catch wind of the larger scheme at play. The whispers about a smear campaign targeting Billy Abbott would leave her unsettled, and she wasn't about to sit quietly while Adam followed his father's directives. Is this really what Victor wants? Chelsea would ask, her tone laced with both curiosity and concern. She had seen her fair share of manipulation from Victor, but this felt different. The idea of using Newman Media to attack Billy felt like a step too far, even for Victor. Adam, his eyes clouded with the burden of loyalty and fear of confrontation, would shake his head slightly. I don't think this has anything to do with you, Chelsea. It's just about business, and we're caught in the middle of it. Chelsea's eyes narrowed, sensing there was more beneath the surface. You don't think this is a test, do you? A way for Victor to test my loyalty? To see if I'll fall in line with his agenda? Adam would hesitate for a moment, the gears in his mind turning. He knew Victor's tactics all too well, but he wasn't about to admit that to Chelsea, not yet. I don't think it's about that, he'd reply, his voice trying to sound more convincing than he felt. It's just business. You've seen how Victor operates. He doesn't need to test anyone, he already knows where we stand. But Chelsea wasn't convinced. She'd cross her arms, her frustration rising. So, you're telling me that this idea to go after Billy Abbott, this whole campaign to destroy him, was Victor's idea? Or was it yours? Adam, caught in the web of deceit and loyalty, would offer a strained smile. It's not my idea, Chelsea. It never was. Chelsea's face would harden as she processed his words. She was no fool, she could feel the undercurrents of manipulation in the air. I want to make sure something's clear, Adam. I want to know you will never use Newman Media to tear Billy down. If we're supposed to be partners in this, I need to know that. The weight of her request would hit Adam like a ton of bricks. He knew the stakes were higher than ever, and if he didn't answer her in the way she needed, it could shatter their relationship. Are you asking me to choose between you and Billy? He'd ask, his voice tinged with an edge of frustration. Chelsea would meet his gaze steadily, her resolve firm. No, Adam. I'm asking you to choose between doing what's right and following Victor's path of destruction. I don't want to be part of a plan that's built on lies and manipulation. I won't let you pull me into that world. Adam would be torn, caught between the loyalty he felt toward his father and the love he had for Chelsea. The line between business and personal relationships was becoming increasingly blurred, and as much as he wanted to appease both sides, it was becoming clear that the two were incompatible. I'll make sure you're not caught in the middle, Adam would promise, though the uncertainty in his voice would betray his inner conflict. He knew the road ahead wasn't simple, and whatever choice he made, it would come with consequences, both professionally and personally. The scene would be set for a high-stakes showdown between loyalty and love. As Adam struggled to maintain his relationship with Chelsea, the winds of change in Genoa City were growing stronger. Lily's decision to challenge the status quo would put her at odds with her family, Devon and Nate, as they tried to understand her motivations. Meanwhile, Holden's warning to Damian about the potential risks of trusting the wrong people would add yet another layer of complexity to the ongoing drama. And as Victor continued to use his power to manipulate and control those around him, the stage was being set for explosive confrontations that would shake Genoa City to its core. The question remained, would Adam and Chelsea survive the battle for their hearts and their futures? Would Damian make the right choice, or would he fall prey to the power and allure of those who held the keys to his destiny? The game was on, and no one knew who would come out on top when the dust settled. But one thing was certain, no one would leave unchanged.